All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. I did have a debate challenger, and I'm waiting to hear back from him. We were supposed to start at 10:15 Pacific, 1:15 Eastern. I'm hoping he's out there. I just decided to start the stream in case it would jog his memory. Um, it's a little bit of a vague debate, but he said what he wanted to debate on was that gematria is not the most important subject in the truth community, and he's keeping his ace up his sleeve because he's going to present apparently what is the most important topic, which I'm all ears for. And you know what? If he's right, then he's right. I'm hoping he shows up any minute. I only have so much time today. I was hoping we could do this debate in an hour or less. But I definitely hit him up with 2 emails with the link to join. If Aaron's a no-show and there's anybody else out there that's interested in the topic and would like to take on Aaron's position, you can be a welcome substitute. But it was Aaron who said he would like to debate. I'm always looking for people to debate, and not a lot of people want to debate yours truly. So I totally welcomed the challenge. And I think he's here. So that worked. And again, since we don't have a true moderator, I'm going to be very fair about this. Thank you for the challenge, Aaron. And since it is your challenge, if you'd like, you're welcome to have the opening statement, or if you'd rather me have the opening statement, that's fine. I'm gonna leave it up to you since you're the guest, and let me know how much time you'd like for your opening statement. Do you want 5 minutes? Do you want 10 minutes? Since you set up this debate, essentially, I'm gonna let you make the rules. Let me make sure I got the sound settings right so you're not echoing. All right, Aaron's here and he's got his camera on. I love it. All right, what's up, Aaron? Oh, hold on. You muted yourself, though. You got to unmute your mic.
What's going on, bro? Can you hear me?
You're loud and clear. Perfect.
All right, what's going on, man? I appreciate you making this impromptu debate. You set it up rather quick, man. What's going on? How you doing?
Doing well. And hey, man, I've been so eager for somebody to come on and give me a debate that I just couldn't wait. So thank you, Aaron.
Well, I do see. Well, that's the reason why I did reach out, because I mean, I tune in from time to time because you have a lot of interesting takes, man. It is very. I see the practicality in a lot of what you do teach. So, oh, I thought you were going to say something. So no, but I do see you challenge a lot of famous YouTube folk, bro. But they got a lot to lose. Me personally, I don't. I don't have a channel. I don't care about my image. So I would like to discuss on if gematria is, the most practical knowledge to know in modern times, or even in the truth community. So,
hey, I love it. It's a great conversation, and I don't even mind if you win the debate. I don't mind if you want to win the debate. Now, usually in a debate, there's an opening statement. Would you like to have the opening statement? We're both going to get one, but do you want to go first?
I would prefer if you open, seeing how I'm the negative in this stance, and you will be defending the affirmative. So I would like for you to open, please.
Sure. And now, how long do we want for opening statements? Or does it
It's
not
up
matter?
to you, man. It's up to you. So
okay. Do you just want to have this be a back and forth?
I think that we can be reasonable adults, man. And in most not most, but in a lot of formal debates I've been in with a lot of these internet teachers, and they're not like you, but it's like Christian apologists I've debated. Black Hebrew Israelite teachers. I've debated rabbis. I've done a lot of like theological, I guess, type of debates. So it seems like this will be one that's going to be very, very, it seems more informal, but it seems like we're going to respect each other's terms. So
sure, we will. Now, hold on. Since you are the challenger, give me what the challenging statement is again one time, so I make sure that I'm speaking to that idea. So if you could just give me that.
So my rebuttal to your thesis pretty much would be that you would affirm that gematria and the understanding of gematria will help us understand what's going on in these times. My stance would be that what's commonly referred to as Torah in the Old Testament scriptures, that the laws and the prophecies kind of really shine more light on what's going on. And well, the prophecies definitely shine more light on what's going on and what's also to come. But I believe that the laws, following the basic laws of the Creator, are what is truly more important for us having safety these days and times.
Okay, fair enough. Now, in a way, this might end up just being more of a discussion where we're kind of
Yeah,
a lot in agreement because gematria is highly connected to the Torah. But
yes, it
okay,
is.
so all right, okay, so we kind of know where you're going to go. So all right, so here's my opening statement then. I do claim that teaching this knowledge of gematria and the way it's encoded in the English language is the most important knowledge to know at this day and age to understand what is taking place in the world, who is responsible for the agendas that we see in the world, where a lot of people don't even realize that there are agendas carrying out. They're just thinking things are just happening. And again, just the power of this knowledge, how you can use it for so many different things. You can use it to see through the propaganda in the news. And again, who's responsible for that propaganda? You can see it to escape the matrix of rigged professional sports where so many people dedicate so much time and energy and they allow it to make or ruin their day or week. You can use this knowledge to financially get ahead by taking advantage of these rigged sports games, by taking advantage of the rig market, by taking advantage of the rigged crypto. So again, personally, I have never come across a knowledge that is so diverse in its uses and its practical uses. And again, the thing is almost anybody can learn it who applies their mind because it really is elementary. It's ABC is 1, 2, 3. I am open to the idea that I am wrong, that it's the most important knowledge. It's just that for me, again, my big, really my big wake up moment, and I'd say I was already kind of awake, but again, I was 18 and 9/11 happened, and it was very numerological, and I was amazed at how many people didn't see all of the numerology in it. And from that day going forward, I noticed just how many number rituals there seemingly were in both news and sports. And again, it took me over 10 years to figure out why they'd be using numerology or what the significance of numbers is. And like you said, the Torah, I mean, the fourth book of the Bible, for people to know, the Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible, known as the 5 books of Moses. Hey, pay attention today in sports because it's the 5th death anniversary of Kobe Bryant, who has a lot of parallels to Moses Malone. Moses Malone was once used as a Nike athlete. And again, Kobe did turn 5 shortly after Moses Malone won that championship for Philly. That's another thing. But again, that's the power of this knowledge. You can see who is carrying out these evil rituals and what really happened to Kobe at age 41 on the Pope's 41st day of his age. For every NFL fan, you should be able to understand that the Commanders, who are playing today on the anniversary of Super Bowl 26 from 33 years ago, where they beat the Bills, you should be able to get the idea that, yeah, that is pretty weird that they changed their name on the 33rd day of the year. And here we are 1,089 days later, and the square root of 1,089 is 33. They just happen to be playing on the 33rd anniversary of the Super Bowl, and both these teams are in the conference championships. And anyway, I don't want to speak too long for this opening statement. I want to pass it back to our friend Aaron here. But again, ultimately what I'm saying is gematria, very easy and practical to learn if you just open your mind to it. And if you do, you will see day after day how important and relevant this knowledge is, and it can absolutely change your life. But I'm not going to be here and say that my ears are closed to anything else. I would like for Aaron to win this debate, to be perfectly honest, and prove to me that just studying the Torah alone, which this knowledge does fit in with, is a better way to have a roadmap of what's going on. So with that said, Aaron's turn.
All right, man. Well, I definitely appreciate everything that you said as far as like a foundation, and I'm in agreement with almost everything you say, bro. Like, it's very intriguing the how much gematria is used these days. And then whenever I came across your channel, I forget what video it was. I think it might have been around the time of Kobe's death. It really was highlighting, with the black sacrifices. And you are someone that will shine a light on the notorious black sacrifices. So a lot of this land, America, the past 400 plus years of colonization and certain people that were brought here have a lot to do with past, present, and future. And that's what Torah kind of does encompass. So the first point that I wanted to hit on, because it's fresh in my head, I heard you bring up the book of Numbers. I just want to do a very quick synopsis of the modern day canonized Bible. I do not agree or believe in the New Testament. I want to put that out there. I do believe that the the New Testament, a lot of the Jesuits, a lot of the Abrahamic faiths. These are to counteract and to be the I don't know, the evil of that reigns over the light of the Torah. Torah brings a lot of understanding, knowledge, peace, safety, guidance, things of that nature. And the New Testament and a lot of these Jesuit beliefs, practices, they overshadow what humanity was here to do, what humanity was here to accomplish, what our basic principles of life are. So I do want to assert that I'm not one to back up the Bible as a whole. I'm not a Bible thumper. I do believe that there's a stark difference in the two, hence why I've gotten into a lot of formal debates with some theological teachers. The fourth book of Numbers, from what I observe, is called Numbers because it's a census. It's a census of the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which formed a nation, a nationality, an ethnic group, a race of people. And that's why Numbers is called Numbers. It begins with the numbering of the 12 tribes and who is in each tribe based off the patriarch lineage, based off the father. So I do understand modern day times we see numbers and we think number, but prior to the book being canonized and called Numbers, it was pretty much a census scroll. And all these books were in scroll form that they weren't numbered as we have them today. It was in the Hellenistic period that the canonization of these books and the numerology began. And now we can go into the numerology aspect because a lot of these nations prior to the Grecians and prior to the Hellenistic period, they were dabbling in numerology. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that the first geometric artifact was found in the Assyrian time period, when, I'm not trying to mince it, but there was a king. He wanted a wall to be built in concordance with his name, Gematria. So that was the length of the wall that he wanted it to be built. And that's one of the first artifacts. I studied about this not like a little while ago as I was starting to understand like how much we've been lied to, pretty much. So we do see that gematria was used in the ancient times. However, it was the Greeks, coined Greek in that language, and then especially the Jews, the Khazarian Jews, that were making this knowledge not really publicized because it was esoteric. It was meant for a small group of people to comprehend. So I'm going to hand it back to you, but I just want to say that, well, I didn't really build a foundation, but so pretty much the Kabbalistic construct of using this, man, as I'm sure you would know, it's used for sorcery, bro. It's used to control us. It's used, and the origins of this gematria, even from Greek isosophies, these people believed, and I'm sure that you've ran across this. I know you have. They believed that by changing words or by using the numeric value of words, that you can change reality, that you could bring down power, that you can summon deities. There's books in the ancient times, or even around the Hellenistic period, which teaches people the numerical sequences to summon demons in all forms, deities, to get riches, to get someone to fall in love with you, like the things of this nature. So I do see the practicality of understanding it to break through these barriers that we are being taught today. However, with the Torah and the laws, we already, for those that have read it, that have humbled down to it, because you have to humble down to what it's saying, we do have this understanding that these things are evil, from sports, celebrities, to the agendas, the news, to following a lot of these heathen practices. We are already aware that these are no-nos pretty much, and we didn't really need the gematria aspect to incorporate it. Now, I'm not hating on gematria. It's dope, it's entertaining, it is very practical, and it teaches you a lot, but I do believe that the laws of Torah do trump the knowledge of gematria. I'm gonna land there, Zach.
Okay. All right. Here, how do you feel about this idea? Talk about a current event right now that likely does fit in with Torah. Trump proposing to bulldoze Gaza and move the people of Gaza to Jordan and Egypt. Is there anything that you can chime in with Torah about this ritual that's going on right now?
Yeah, man. Well, 100%. Trump's being seen as like the American Messiah, like a messianic figure per se. He's doing things in concordance with the New Testament, specifically Revelations, which makes people more deep in the spell that he is a Messiah. So I do see how this all does connect to Torah because we're past the 400-year mark, and that's my biggest stake in this claim is that the prophecies of Torah, specifically in Genesis 15, the very first prophecy that was given to Abram said that his descendants would be in the land that they didn't know, that would mistreat them, enslave them. Well, it says enslave and mistreat. So these two things in concordance for 400 years. It says at the end of that 400 years that the nation that they're in will begin its judgment. It did not say that at the end of 400 years, they'll be brought out. It says that judgment will begin on this nation. I've been seeing and 2020 marked that. And that's where it's past faith, it's past belief, it's practical. We see it. A lot of judgment has happened to this nation and is beginning to. A lot of people are afraid for what tomorrow brings, what next year brings, and this is kind of a state we've never been in, specifically the whole pandemic that occurred and what 5.5 billion people in the world ended up getting from it. We do see a marker point in history. So since we're at that major prophetic point where we're post 400 years, I do see how Trump doing the symbology with Egypt, because the first 400, the first inclination of a 400 years was in ancient Egypt, and whenever the ancient Israelites were brought out of Egypt. Now it's not really surprising that this ritual with a Messiah savior figure, aka Trump, and with them bringing up Egypt, Gaza, and even Israel is all being used in the same sentence. I do see a repeat.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to add on with what I see with the ritual right now. So back when Trump was president the first time, they began selling something in Israel called the Temple coin, and it had King Cyrus's and Trump's head on one side and the third temple, which the Zionists would like to bring about on the other. And this coin is being sold to raise funds for this eventual third temple. And you guys might recall that Trump stopped by Jerusalem for Jerusalem Day and then went to the Vatican back in 2017. And then the temple coin came out not long after. So Donald Trump right now, like you said, they've been promoting him as this messianic figure in certain circles in Israel, and this has been happening for about 4 or 5 years now. Okay, so Trump yesterday made the news saying that he would essentially like to just clear out Gaza because it's a bunch of rubble and move the 1.5 million people there to Jordan and, again, Egypt, which are on both sides of Israel. So look at this. This is where the Gematria piece brings a lot of clarity, at least in my opinion. From the war beginning on October 7th, 2023, and I'll remind you guys, we almost called the war to the day Netanyahu came back, largely thanks to Gematria, but also understanding what's going on in the Bible, because I'm not discounting what you're saying. Listen, here's just what I want to acknowledge about the guy who, I feel like it's more of a conversation than a debate, which is just fine, but if you have biblical understanding, you're going to be so much more potent with using Gematria in the proper way. It takes knowledge about history, things like the Bible, because all of this knowledge is related. So in a way, I see this as more of a complementary conversation and debate. But I guess at the end, we're going to see who's more persuasive. Which one of these knowledge is more helpful alone? I'd say you definitely want them together personally. But anyway, this is the point I want to go back to. From the start of the war, October 7th, 2023, to Trump's announcement yesterday about this plan was exactly 68 weeks. And he met with the Jordan leader yesterday, while the Jordan leader is still 62, born in 62. It's interesting because both Jordan and Egypt both have a gematria value of 62, just like the word Torah is 62, like Elohim is 62. Again, if anyone's read my first book, I go into 26 and 62 and the Old Testament, largely the Torah. That's how my first book begins. And now on the 26th of the month, you have Trump meeting with the leader of Egypt. Yesterday on the 25th, he met with the leader of Jordan, or it's a phone call. They're not really in person, but they're talking about this over the phone. So today he's talking with the leader of Egypt exactly 68 days after the leader of Egypt's birthday, El-Sisi. And El-Sisi also became the leader of Egypt on June 8th, 6/8. So you have this 68 thing going on, 68 weeks exactly after the war begins. And today's Sunday is also another exact 68 because this Sunday is exactly 68 weeks after Netanyahu declared war on Hamas, which was October 8th, 2023. But also Israel is 76 years old right now. And 68 and 76 are numbers that are associated with a very powerful secret society who gets a lot of their symbolism from the Templars and who is also modeled after the Illuminati. And that's Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones has the Gematria 76. Donald John Trump, again, for people who don't know, Gematria is based on running the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. Donald John Trump is 68 forwards, 76 in reverse. So all this 68 stuff, while Israel's 76. And with regards to 68 and 76 and Skull and Bones, remember who was president when 9/11 happened? George W. Bush, who graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones in 68. And remember, it was his 76th birthday on 7/6 when the Georgia Guidestones came down, this monument to depopulation, which is something they've absolutely done to the Middle East with the wars on terror, where they've killed a lot of Muslim men through these wars that I would say are definitely based on lies. But 68 and 76, huge numbers with Skull and Bones. Again, you go back to 1968. First of all, Israel was having some significant wars back then, expanding their boundaries. So here we are again now in another 68 ritual where it looks like Israel's going to take. I mean, you guys look at where Gaza is on the map. It's along the shoreline. You don't think that's going to be valuable real estate to land developers like Trump? But again, if you look at the headline, the way everyone had it yesterday with Trump's thing, I can't think of the exact wording right now, but I did a video on it last night. The exact wording for the headlines everyone was emphasizing, those words equaled 322. Like Skull and Bones is known as Order 322. And there's a lot of reasons they take claim to that number. But of course, in the Torah, Genesis 322 mentions the tree of life, which is the physical model for Kabbalah, which is where this whole Gematria thing comes from. And again, it mentions the tree of life and knowing good and evil. And if you study Kabbalah, there's what's considered a good half, understanding your relationship with God. And then the evil half is the Klippoth, which is about sorcery and spell casting and having influence over others. And no doubt that's what the Kabbalah is using, especially when they do a ritual like this, where they further turn Gaza into rubble by the numbers based in another lie. And again, the larger point I'm making is also that when we invaded Afghanistan, that was October 7th, 2001, after 9/11. And remember, Rudy Giuliani, Catholic, was the 107th mayor of New York. And 9/11 happened on the 107th day of age. And then we went into Afghanistan on 10/7, like 107. The word military equals 107 Gematria. That's the day leaving 85 days left in the year. Templar equals 85. Isus Hominum Salvator equals 85. Again, the Jesuits, that's their motto, Isus Hominum Salvator. Their logo is the Templar cross. They waged the Crusades. Bush is from Skull and Bones, which gets their symbolism from the Templars. He referred to it as a crusade. Now, 22 years later, the master builder number, they go in and demolish a lot of Gaza, and now they want to clear them out of there. That's the solution. And some people are looking at this as like, wow, see, Trump's coming in as the peacekeeper. And of course, there's things in the Bible about, the beast, the evil one, being a deceiver who, flatters with invitations of peace that aren't what they seem. Again, I'm arguing that the power of this knowledge, it allows you to see how we're being biblically mocked, but then also attach the piece of who is doing this mocking with the Bible. And I'll remind people, Israel was created on 14th of May, 14/5, like 145, like there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament, and in Gematria, Catholic equals 145, just like David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister. So again, you look at all the artifacts that are out there, and maybe this can become part of the debate if you disagree, but again, the Catholic Church gave us the calendar. That we say today we're having this debate January 26, 2025. This is because of the Catholic Church. They also are responsible for the English language and the standardization with the 26 letters at the same time they implemented the Gregorian calendar. And again, you look at why they'd give us a 26-letter alphabet in Genesis. Man makes God, or I'm sorry, I'm speaking in opposites. God makes man in the 26th verse in Gematria. God equals 26 like Adam. A human being has 206 bones, not too far off from 26. And there's a lot more to that. Like I was saying earlier, the Elohim and Torah also have the 26 connection. Here we are on the 26th of the month as Trump meets with the Egyptian leader about this plan. When I mean, so much of the Torah is based in Egypt. So again, I'm not putting down what you're saying at all. I'm saying if you take a mind like this man who I'm talking to, who knows his Torah, and you pair it with the Gematria knowledge, I feel like you're going to understand world affairs better than anyone else. I'd also say if you don't have the Gematria piece, you might see the mockery, but you might have trouble connecting who is doing it. And here's the point I'd make. So much of the truth community does know their Bible, but a lot of them tend to be Christians and kind of Jew haters, and they kind of blame everything on Jews, when I think with this lens, you can see who's really pulling the strings, which I would say is the Catholic Church and the orders that serve them, namely the Jesuits. And since I talked for a long time, pass the mic back to you, and you got as long as you need.
No, I mean, I think that was a very nice segue based off of what I said and how to pair these two things. I agree with you, man. There's too many Jew haters. There's too many things of that nature. Whenever I do believe that it does go back to Roman Catholicism and those that birthed the Abrahamic religions, because all the Abrahamic religions are an attempt to trump the creative force. The creator force says do this. The Roman Catholic religions, and yes, I say it like that because it birthed all these other branches of religions. It all goes back, all roads lead back to these folks, and that's why everyone say it. So I do agree with that, man. They are sun worshipers. They have done their best to go out and colonize and go in and force this propaganda down everybody's throat. Why though? Why? What's the reason for this one deity, aka Jesus, who is the Son personified? Why go and mass murder and rape and kill and cause almost genocide over this? What's the big fixation over it? So I do think that through the lens of Torah, it does bring more awareness to it. I'm not shunning Gematria whatsoever. I think that it pairs beautifully, but here's where I'll jump off the cliff. I could have the awareness of Torah without Gematria and still find salvation in what's to come, in this judgment that's to come. Whereas Gematria shows you whose hand is doing this, what's evil, what's not, but I don't see it really having the preparation for this judgment that's going to come. I know a lot of people that are in Gematria, they see the impending doom. They see that these Jesuit leaders have a global domination in their mind, that they've seen the Georgia Guidestones. We see all these movies. We see the predictive programming. We know what they're going to do. But first off, why are they going to do it? Second off, who's giving them power to do it? And third off, how can we be prepared, and actually find safety? What's the end goal? For all this craziness that's going on in this world. So I do believe not just Torah, but also the Tanakh, which comes after Torah, which is where the prophets that were inspired by the creator, they really reveal hands down, bro. Like, it's crazy once you get rid of all the man-made doctrines and all the teachings, and you truly do study it for yourself. Like, this is impenetrable. It shows you everything, and your life can practically change from it. I've been in this Torah search of wisdom, and that's where I will say that's the greatest substance according to this book is wisdom. It trumps finances. It trumps love. It trumps riches. Wisdom to discern is the greatest substance on earth. That's what the Torah says, and I believe that a lot of religious practices, they truly have to come back to the wisdom of the creator as being the number one savior. I like how you brought up Cyrus in comparison with Trump. That's a crazy comparison. I do think that someone like yourself, if you were more inclined to some of not just the gematria of Torah, but like, for instance, like these lexicons, this would probably turn you into a tailspin though, because they're all numerically based. And this comes from the origins of what Kabbalah was genuinely intended to do. These folks are doing things on a sequence. They're doing, and I'm not saying just the Jesuits, but there's also practicing esoteric groups that are doing things synchronized and in sequences daily to the time, to the calendar. That they'll even face certain coordinates and they'll say certain geometric properties that they believe influence things, and I do believe it does influence things. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of I'm pretty sure that if you say a sequence of words and numbers repetitively enchanted, that you can probably get the damn chair to float. Who knows? But that's out of my realm, and that's something that I'm not really. I've seen. I don't want to open that Pandora's box. I do respect the practicality of this. I do respect the fact that the creator probably did create things in a sequence of letters and numbers. I do see that in Deuteronomy, I believe 32, it shows that he numbered every nation according to the angels that he created. He speaks on these, but I do think it's above our human pay grade. I do believe that these Freemasons and these Jesuits and these powers that be, they have taken knowledge that was not meant for us, and they persuade the entire world on a daily basis through the news, through the sports, through things that you are bringing to light. However, I think that we can nip it in the bud easier than that by just staying away from it. And that's what I practice. I practice separation, I would say. I don't follow these holidays. I had to start a business for myself so that way I could be my own person. That way I could be stress free. I coach a lot of kids and I find joy in trying to give back to these kids, because from me reading Torah, I realized that whoever these ancient Israelites were, they were kicked out and thrown out of their land for replacing the creator first and foremost. And then second off, they disregarded the foster children. They disregarded the homeless. They disregarded the elderly. They disregarded their own brother. That's why a lot of people, even Black Hebrew Israelites that have become popularized, and they've become popularized by those in charge. They allow these people to do these things. That they allow these people to mock Torah, because most Black Hebrew Israelites, they're not coming in Torah. They're coming in the New Testament, and they give this sacrifice God different names, but it's the same recipe. It's the same ingredient: blood sacrifice, flesh eating. The laws of Torah tell you to love and to honor your mother and father. The laws of New Testament tell you that you got to cut off your family for Christ's sake. The laws of Torah tell you eye for an eye. The laws of New Testament tell you forget that, turn the other cheek on somebody. It's a repetitive canceling out. It's a pollution. So from what I'm seeing, the Jesuits, the Roman Catholic Church, they inspired a whole concept of disregarding Creator and His laws, and they continue to reiterate that through celebrities, through sports, through news, through everything else. It brings division, it brings calamity. This is what's called judgment and curses. A lot of people are cursed from what they say, they do, and they worship on a daily basis. It's a daily thing of summoning evil to you, or maybe you can start summoning blessings to you, and that's something that's major in Torah. I feel like I've talked a lot. I'm going to toss it back to you, Zach.
Okay. And again, we're not really doing timers. So if you had more to say, that's fine. But I realized something I meant to say when I was talking that I didn't. And I wanted to see if it sparked anything in your mind that you could connect with Torah. I was talking about the 68 thing again. Trump's remarks exactly 68 weeks after the war began, then meeting with the leader of Egypt exactly 68 weeks after Netanyahu declared power, when again, Trump's name equals 68. I forgot to mention, I brought up in the beginning just the third temple and the temple coin. Solomon's temple equals 68. And it's a reminder that on 9/11, the third building to fall that day was the Solomon Brothers building when the World Trade Center complex began in 68. The same year 911 was made the national emergency dialing code, and a number of other related things happened. And again, they're calling what's going on in Israel their 9/11. So, and Trump was also interviewed the day of 9/11. He said he was worried about his insurance firm on the 102nd floor of the World Trade Center, which is a whole nother topic because, again, the whole thing was simulated 102 days before it happened. But the 68 piece, Solomon's Temple 68, Catholicism equals 68, mathematics 68, solar system equals 68, Helios equals 68, between Jordan and Egypt, I'd argue that Egypt's the more important. They're both biblical, but obviously, Moses was looking across the river to the Promised Land. But again, this whole 68 thing, it's to me, again, it speaks to who gave us the language and the calendar and modern day Israel as we know that, and it's the Catholic Church. And Trump is part of this Jesuit education fraternity, having gone to Fordham. He's just been reinstalled, and now he's seemingly bringing peace to the region with his plan, which is trickery and deception, just like what the Jesuits are about. Again, I'm going to stick on the point of, I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying understanding these numbers gives you something very concrete and repetitive. I mean, I've been here harping on about how important 68 is to these people for over a decade, and what's going on right now. It's clearly biblical. It's clearly history. It really is about Solomon's temple. I mean, it truly is undeniable. For people who don't know the history, the Templars, when they were waging the Crusades, they used Solomon's temple and referred to, or it wasn't Solomon's temple. It was, it's Al-Aqsa Mosque. Again, it's the Catholic Church who says that Solomon's temple and Herod's temple is where Al-Aqsa Mosque is today. Again, Solomon's temple was destroyed by the Romans, or excuse me, no, Solomon's was destroyed by the Babylonians. Herod's temple was destroyed by the Romans. They want to bring about the third temple where Al-Aqsa Mosque is right now. And again, just this whole Muslim thing. Again, they blame 9/11 on the Muslims. They said the lead hijacker was born in 68. So now here we are in 2025 with this war that began on the anniversary of, again, invading that region of the world, which was advised by the leader of Israel at the time. This 68 thing, to me, it's a sign, again, proving that it's the Catholic Church at the end of the day that is behind all of this. Through your understanding of Torah, are you in disagreement with that? Or do you feel that Torah points to something else that's behind this that is more exact, more important? And is there something in Torah about 68 that I don't know? Is there a verse? Is there a 6-8 verse that would speak to this as well? Let me pass it back over. And if you don't have anything to say about that, I wouldn't say that means you lost the point, but maybe you just have a different rebuttal, again, about the point of how Torah could show us more who's responsible for what's going on right now.
No, I do have something to segue off of that. So you would agree that a bunch of these rituals were predetermined per date, right? Like it's all aligning on this calendrical cycle that was given to us by the same people that canonized and numerically valued every scripture. So they're synced. But here's my thing though, Zach, we're in year 2025 based off of what? The death of their God. That's why, if you think about it, that kind of implodes people's thought process. If you're an atheist or if you're anti-New Testament, if you don't believe in Jesus, then why base everything historically off of his death? They did that. It's clearly fictitious. We're not in year 2025 after the death of Jesus. And that clearly, that will open up a whole can of worms. What year are we in then? If it's not 2025, after the death of a fictitious deity who died for all of our sins, even though there's sins plethora in this world, there's calamities plethora in this world, the understanding of Torah is that when there was a messianic figure or whenever a new covenant was restored, which Jesus claims to embody the new covenant, the prophets and the Torah says there would be peace on earth, bro. It would be peace on earth. It even says that there won't be birth pains. It shows that like a lion will lay down with a sheep, bro. Like, so we have basic understanding that Jesus was no Messiah and he did not bring no new covenant. So why is our surroundings, why growing up in school do we have to date everything based off of the death of this deity? And it goes back to what you are teaching. I will say they encoded everything. Everything is ritual. Everything is ritual. And it was predetermined, which means what Trump is doing, this 400 years and everything is all predetermined. They've understood Torah code that they've understood. And by they, I mean the ruling class who was given control of this earth. That's what people don't understand. There's no devil. There's no devil with red wings sitting on no one's damn shoulder. The creator himself said, I create good, I create evil. And not only does he create good and evil, he wants his own credit for that. He doesn't want you to be like, well, this person did this or this person did this. And as Black people in America and being sent abroad, that's our lesson to learn. White people are not our adversary. They were not who we need to be screaming at on street corners. The creator allowed certain people to put us in this situation so that we do better and we fucking know better. That'd be like my children. I love them. And if they are out here doing anything crazy, I'm going to punish them. And they will not come out of their timeout until they humble down and have comprehension that, okay, Dad, you said I shouldn't do this. It's a basic rule in our house. I broke it. I'm sorry. That's what we were sent here for. And I also believe a lot of other indigenous nations, because they were sacrificing their children to gods and we're speaking to all these different deities, which we were commanded not to. That's the number one rule. So many people talk about a golden rule. The number one rule is put no other gods before me. Since so many ancient civilizations have done that for so long, a certain people were allowed to reign, and they reigned with an iron fist. And they've also said that everything's determined based off the death of their God. So we know we're in some conundrum somewhere. So I do believe that Torah thoroughly helps us find bearings in this crazy world that is, like, that there's no justice, there's no peace, and there's no reassurance. Like, you can't even turn on the TV without being messed with. You can't even watch a show without predictive programming being shoved down your throat so that you're a minuscule robot and you're here to go to work, to watch Netflix, to eat horrible food, and to know your doom is coming. I believe we were put in this situation to know better and to do better. And I believe that these laws, like honor thy mother and father, like have respect for your neighbor, like don't murder, don't kill, don't steal. These are things that if we encoded in ourselves, then gematria would be easier to understand. Then the predictive programming would be way easier to understand. I believe that we were all placed in this world and in this time frame, year 2025, after the fictitious death of Jesus Christ, to learn a major lesson about Creator. And so going on with the 68, I really haven't looked too deep into it, but just turning into the Gesenius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, a lot of people use the Greek strong concordance to compare. I think that if you cracked open, and I'm sure that you have, but if you revisit a Greek concordance, you might find a lot of your answers there, brother, because this starts going back to the origins of what gematria was intended to be. And they didn't expect for someone like, well, they might have expected it at some point, but their intention is not for someone like you to just come out here and be like, yo, so this is what's going on. It's esoteric, Zach. According to them, it's meant to be esoteric, and this is how they rule. Like, certain hymnals, certain songs in the Catholic churches, in the choirs, are some of our pledges of allegiances. All these cadences, all these are on a numeric sequence, and from us repeating it, you continue to summon cursings into your life. You continue to, because we know that there's power in the tongue. Like, you can literally speak life and death. That comes from the esoteric knowledge of gematria, which was fused with the Kabbalistic teachings, which hit the ground running as soon as colonization started. So, but in this Gesenius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, I will try to find the word that equates to 68, but on page 68, there's a word called affliction, and it's to bind, to make fast, to bind, to put in bonds, to make captive, to hold in prison. And it has the word is 631. And what's funny in these lexicons, they don't show you names, they just show you numbers, because they understand that these numbers equate to the names or to the multiple sequences of names. It's not just one, right? So, but I'm going to look into what 68 holds in here, and I'm going to pass it back to you while I do such.
Okay. And I wouldn't mind if you look into 76 as well, just since that's how old Israel is, and that's another part of this ritual. And about how
1776, right?
exactly. And what you just said about how 68 kind of relates to being imprisoned, they do refer to Gaza as an open air prison. So that is very interesting. And okay, so what I'm hearing from you ultimately is, because again, essentially what this debate is he's challenged me on where I like to say that I think gematria is one of the most important, relevant things that anybody could learn because of its practicality and what it exposes. He's essentially arguing, from what I'm hearing, is that if you just understand Torah, then you understand the truth of this world and how God did bring about good and evil, and how you can separate yourself from the evil through that. Because essentially we're trying to separate ourselves from evil as well by understanding who the evil is and what we should not participate in and become involved with. So ultimately, that's what I'm hearing from his argument. Again, this was... it's sort of a debate, but I really see it more as like again, I'm going to come back to the point that if you have his knowledge of Torah and you have knowledge of what I'm teaching about, there's a synergy there, and you'll just have a greater understanding of what's going on in the world. I couldn't go on and keep making more points. But again, you guys, just like, let's say you didn't know Gematria, right? And you just knew Torah, you might have recognized on the date, the 11th of September, you might say, well, wait a minute. Genesis 11:9 is where the story of the Tower of Babel ends, the tower that divides the world. And here we have Christians blaming Jews for it in the conspiracy theory community. We got the establishment blaming Muslims. This is a division of the Abrahamic religions over the demolition of these towers on the 11th day of the 9th month. Again, to me, that was pretty obvious play on the Torah with what they did with the 11th of September. But again, to me, you learn the Gematria piece. You're like, okay, because see, here, I understood things like that when I was younger, but I didn't know Gematria. And I wasn't sure who was responsible for it at the end of the day. It kind of looked like, a lot of Jews control the media. A leader from Israel told us to do it. Initially, my thoughts were, it looks kind of like Jews are doing this. I heard that Larry Silverstein just bought the building and a lot of Jews didn't show up for work. There's definitely a Jewish component to what's going on. But what I've seen is it's really, there's a lot of participants from all religions. But who the tip of the spear is the Jesuits. And that's why they did this Crusader ritual, which is easy to understand when you know that 10-7 has this military Crusader connection. And now they bring it back up again with Israel. So to me personally, I still feel like the Gematria sheds more clarity on who's pulling the strings. Now, I'd like you to clearly respond to what I'm saying. Are you saying that no, it's ultimately it's God, and it's the evil force of God and the people who are under that evil side of creation? Clarify for me exactly what you're trying to say about, again, why understanding Torah is more, and maybe you disagree with it being the church and the Catholic, and it's more in your mind they're just under the evil creative force of creator. So please, if you could just clarify this.
This will be straight to the point. I've done a lot of foundational building in a lot of my segments, so I will get straight to the point right here. There's blessings and curses. There's blessings for doing right, and these blessings, according to Torah, specifically Deuteronomy 30, show that you'll be blessed from following the Creator's laws. And it's very simplistic. A child could understand. I teach that to my children, and I feel like I've broken generational curses from just actually rewiring what we're supposed to do. And it's not a coincidence that all this happened around the 400-year marker. There's been a major awareness. The gates have opened up since 2020. And what's scary is that we're reliving that year now, but it just seems like they really have the reaction which caused what they can actually, like shut things down with, or actually have a real pandemic now from the problem reaction solution equation that they use. So, but my whole thing is that, man, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this to you and to your audience, because there's different ways to word different things for different people. So I would say that and I've heard you talk about the 400 years, and it's even in Acts 7:6, which goes back with the 76, which is 1776, this nation was created. And that's where we get this whole, that's a major aspect of the 400 years. So and then in the Hebrew alphabet, Zach, where all this originates from, or you could call it the Proto-Canaanite or something of that nature, 400 is the end. 400 is the Tau. It goes from the Aleph to the Tau. There's 22 letters, and they all represent a numeric value. Aleph being 1, Bet being 2. As soon as it gets to the 10th, it goes 10. And then after, I believe, 20, it goes in hundredth values. So 2, 3, 4. It's no coincidence, Zach, that Gematria is based off of the Hebrew alphabet, in which there were 22. Well, actually based off isopsephy based off of the Hebrew alphabet. And it's no coincidence that the last numerical value in Gematria, according to the most ancient language, is 400. And then we come to modern day times, and 400 years after slaves were brought to this nation against their will, we get this major time in history, not just American history, but in worldwide history. So that is proof, undeniable proof to me. Now I see the proof in gematria. I see the predictive programming going as planned according to the gematria, but that does go back to the whole year 2025 after the death of Jesus Christ. All this was clearly concocted because if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, then where does that leave you? This was all predetermined. It's all concocted. That's why people like yourself can read through their numbers and it could get you to the point that they're already planning to go to. That means this is all predetermined. That means that the end goal for this nation, man, as I'm pretty sure a lot of people know, is this shit's gonna go, bro. And that's kind of something people don't want to accept. And it takes humility and acceptance of a creator force to understand that there's problem, reaction, solution. If you, let's say that you don't believe in Torah, let's say you're an atheist and you believe in science, it's still the same probability. It's still the same end goal, because for every action, there's an opposite but equal reaction. We've seen the effects of what's gone on these past 400, 500 years of colonization. We understand how much blood has been shed in these lands. We understand how much injustice still goes on to this day. So if every action has an equal reaction, then we understand that this has to go. If you believe in karma, what goes around goes around. What goes around comes around, then you understand judgment is coming to this nation. Or if you believe in the New Testament, you reap what you sow. You understand what's going to come to this nation. Or if you understand Torah, eye for an eye. But I'm saying that to say this, Zach, me being a Black person in these lands has helped humble myself down. I've been humble to my surroundings. I've been humble to my history. My history is that I don't have a land. Our people, we don't have a land, and we're called African American. That's a disservice because Africa is the biggest continent. Everybody has ethnicity. Everybody has cultural bearings. Everybody can trace their mother and father's lineage to a specific geographic location. They can go there, eat the food, speak the language, that they can wear their flag's colors. Even just claiming America is cultural identity. Black people don't want to claim being American. Some do, but we're not treated as such. We understand this is a place where we're not accepted. Some of the curses or the punishments of Torah show that you'll have an evil eye towards your brother, why we shoot and kill each other. You'll have a family and you'll leave them. That's staggeringly high. It shows that you'll borrow and not lend. It shows that you'll be vexed. It shows that you'll not know left from right. It shows all these punishments will encompass you and your descendants for 400 years while you learn your lesson in this nation's place. Since we have learned our lesson and we understand we're landless, we don't have no land. I dare anybody to come on and scientifically prove where my country is in Africa, who my tribe is, what language I spoke, and then do that for the rest of us. We've been stripped of ethnicity. We've been stripped of something that is foundational and fundamental to every human being, which brings peace and understanding. If somebody is being chastised here in America, let's say they're from Vietnam, they can go back to Vietnam and find peace amongst their people. We're the only people, we literally cannot. Even going back to Africa, I can't blend in if Nigerians or nothing like that. We can't. So this has been a punishment, and for us to be humbled down. The reason why I think that's so important is because we have no land. And by reading Torah, I understand our land was destroyed by plagues, similar to what destroyed Egypt. And it's not, and I've done a debate concerning the Roman siege of 70 AD. We've been so lied to. We've been so manipulated, bro. We've been lied to a high extreme, to the point that we believe that that Titus and all these Hellenistic figures were actually capable of destroying the holy land that Creator gave to people. That's not even plausible. Whenever in Torah, it reiterated and showed, if you break my covenant, I'm going to bring plagues upon you. I'm going to bring locusts. I'm going to bring brimstone, hailstone. I'm going to throw everyone out of this land. There's multiple verses which says not a soul will be in your land until I bring you back. So modern day Israel, and we know that that's a fake land. Like the Balfour Declaration was going to stick that land in a bunch of other places. So that's not a holy land. There's nothing holy about that land. It's just a concoction to get people divided on things, where if you come back to the true understanding, there's no land for anybody to go back to that's holy. So I bring that up to say, by us understanding how certain lands were destroyed, like Sodom, Gomorrah, like ancient Babylon, ancient Egypt, all the destruction of all these ancient lands, even Jerusalem, gives us an inclination of how these lands will be destroyed as well, because there's nothing new under the sun. So I believe that Torah is really highlighting the fact that certain people will be sent to a certain place for 400 years to learn a lesson and to be punished after that 400 years. The nation which mistreated them will be judged accordingly, and all judgment is the same. Even Babylon and Cyrus, like you brought up, Cyrus was called a savior. He was used as a savior, and Trump's trying to slide himself in that he's like swears that he's either Jesus or Cyrus on some savior shit, man. But long story short, Cyrus himself and his people, they were punished for going too hard with their mistreatment on certain people. Long story short, there are repercussions for everything. And even though 400 plus years have gone on with no concrete um things.
His connection dropped. He'll come back. Aaron, if you can still see me in here, but probably not if he disconnected. Here, when he comes back, I'll bring him back on. About the 400 years, we talked about this so many times, but before it was 2019, I was telling people years in advance, I said August 2019 is going to mark 400 years of slavery in America. And again, in Acts, which is the 44th book of Protestant Bibles, it's Acts 7:6 that talks about the 400 years. And then Acts 7:7 is about how that nation that has the 400 years of slavery, that they'll be punished. And I was pointing out, I said, isn't that interesting? 7:6 and 7:7, because we know the United States was created in 1776, and in Gematria, United States equals 77, like the nation's capital is on the 77 meridian. And I was saying, so sometime near the end of 2019, maybe in 2020, expect a punishment. And what happened? We ended up getting the COVID-19, right? And again, think about it, you guys. Barack Obama, his name has the 68 and the 76 in it. That same number pairing we're talking about. Barack Obama, 68, 76. Years later, Obama puts out the book, Leave the World Behind. Here, Aaron's back. Aaron, let me just finish this thought real quick, and then you can pick up. Leave the World Behind comes out, and Obama has 76s all over the movie. Supposedly he produced it. Remember, 76 days after it came out, there were the cell phone outages all over the nation, and that's how the movie begins, with people's cell phones going out. But again, Acts 7:6, about 400 years of slavery. The first slave ship in America was the White Lion in 1619 in Obama's movie. The White Lion oil tanker lands on the shore, and then the only radio signal they can communicate on is 1619 in the movie. Again, that's why if you're aware of these things, what's going on in the Bible, Torah and beyond. Again, like I'll say, the Catholic Church is using the whole Bible as the playbook, but they really do. The Torah is the most important part. I'm in complete agreement. Where the original majority of the code comes from. But they are using this Bible like a playbook and mocking us. And Aaron, I want you to finish your thought. But then if you're at the end of your thought, you can come back. I still haven't heard the clarity on, like, what are you ultimately saying is running the script? Is it?
I could clarify it now. Yeah. So yes, yeah, 100%. It would be the creative force, if you want to call them God, if you want to call them anything like that. So all this revolves around, like a nation of people who were instructed to keep laws. Since these people did not keep laws, they will receive the ultimate punishment. And you need something capable of punishing these people. And that's where you get colonization, and you get some of the atrocities that have happened. So long story short, man, for those people being punished, or those that aren't even incorporated in that, there's blessings and curses, there's judgment that's going to befall this nation like it's befell a shitload of other nations, and this one is definitely not exempt to it. The only way to find salvation in these times to come is to try to understand these laws of creators, specifically the number one: put no other God before me. And we do that in the form of celebrities, athletes, even celebrating holidays which revolve around a calendrical cycle, which deal with a lot of deities and a whole bunch of other things that we deal with.
Okay.
And I think, brother, but I mean, even in somebody that would somewhat even believe in Torah, it shows thoroughly, these laws bring life. They bring life to you, to your descendants. They bring peace. They bring safety. I'm not concerned about anything. I jumped out the gate running with a business. And since I've been doing and practicing these laws, it's been a repetitive cycle of blessings, even stress free, no stress, being able to be there for all my children's events, being able to help out with 5 different teams that I coach, from AAU to the local school to Pee Wee level. And it brings me peace, guidance, safety. Our family is well instructed and well thought out. We don't give in to the fear of propaganda, to the news. We don't turn on a news channel and think, oh my God, this could be true, because we understand why we're here and who's in charge. Those in charge, there are scriptures in Torah that shows do not follow the ways of the heathens. And back then, that I was like the Philistines, the Ammonites, the Canaanites, some Egyptians. So we still have that practicality today. Who the heathens are? They're the ruling class. They're these Jesuits. They are these people that follow the sun god, that love the sun god, and we know better than to follow them. We don't deal with their sports, their sports rituals, their religious rituals, their holiday festivals. We don't deal with their scare tactics, and we didn't really need gematria to understand that. We use Torah and our understanding of our awareness and where we are today to thoroughly understand. We don't fuck with these people, Zach. Even this pandemic, we knew, bro, like well beforehand. Whatever they're going to administer, we gonna reject it to the highest capacity, bro. Like I was trying, like
hold on, I got to interject right there. Then,
yeah,
okay. So you would think the people who would know Torah the best in the world at this day and age, a lot of them would live in Israel. Would you agree with that?
no, them folks pollute Torah, man. I'll be honest. I'll
But
be
they
completely
come on. I
honest.
mean, they're gonna. For the people who study the Torah, you got to think a high concentration of them live in Israel.
That is true. I mean, I would say that, but these are also people that deal with a lot of Kabbalah, Zach. They deal with a lot of Kabbalistic practices in which they are kind of dealing in sorcery. They're kind of they're dealing in mysticism. They believe that they are a higher class. Not all Jews living in Israel, but there are sections of Jews that give teachings in which they can lie to other people and they can use these rituals. Like they might say a random ass thing to you. It's because they're trying to curse you. I don't believe that they're truly following Torah. I do believe that they use Torah to set themselves on high in the lens of a world in which the Bible is kind of a foremost authority, but they are polluting it, as do many people. They pollute the hell out of this, bro.
Okay, fair enough. I was just going to say, out of the pandemic, which came after the 400 years in America, since America was kind of a linchpin in the whole thing, Israel did get the worst of it, you could argue, because they had the most mandates against them. Who do you think is most true to the Torah then?
Honestly, if I could be completely honest, the ones most true to the Torah are the ones that had to be punished. That not just were punished. Like for instance, if a dog, and this is a horrible analogy, I don't know why I'm saying it, but if a dog was your pet, if he bit or started to snip at your child, you are going to deal with that so that it doesn't lead to something larger. Like that dog has to learn his lesson, or a convict that did something, they have to learn their lesson or something like that. Long story short, Black people, we do descend from people that broke a covenant that was given to us. And it shows in everything. Like I said, we're the only people group in history that don't have a land to fly back home to. I could not jump on Delta Airlines or anywhere else and go to my house, man, or to anywhere I'm ethnically from. We don't have ethnicity. It's been stripped from us. That's a part of our punishment. So I'm just saying all that to say the people that truly do follow Torah are the ones that have humbled down to this punishment, that are aware that our parents, like that our parents and grandparents have put cursings on us in the form of Christianity, in the form of even Black spirituality, even in the form of voodoo, in the form of being submissive to white people. There's so many forms of generational curses that we come from. I believe that the people that genuinely do follow Torah are the ones that, first of all, read it for themselves, and second of all, truly do what the scriptures say to do. And there's different laws and different ways to applicate the laws. I'm not someone that says open up these laws and we must do them, because these laws were predicated for a holy land. The land was like, it's a constitution. You can't be in American and go to a third world country and tell someone to stick on a seatbelt. That's not their law. Laws are based on landmass, on geography. So I'm not saying that all the laws of Torah we must implement it, because there's some for the Levites, there's some for kings, there's some for the poor. It's all about, but I'm saying though that these laws, the practical laws that we can do, we best do in these times, because they're the only things that will appease a creative force and will spare us in this judgment to come. And that is, to me, that encompasses that is the best guidelines I could give anybody, man, because if you look at it from the Christian standpoint, you ain't got to do shit. Just believe that that this son God died for your sins. That's all. That's literally all you got to do. You just got to believe and confess that you're a sinner, and you accept his blood sacrifice. That's the Christian point of view. The atheist one, that can encompass a lot, but I'm saying that this is the most direct thing that you can give to somebody in these day and times where clearly this nation has begun its judgment. You need to come back to the basic laws, not even of creation, of humanity, bro. Because if everybody did this, we wouldn't even be here talking. This is what will bring salvation to people, specifically the one about put no other gods before me. Because like you, Zach, you have a wife. You wouldn't even want her to bring up some dude from her past or even flirt around it any, because it's called loyalty. It's a trait that we have in us. I wouldn't want my children to give credit to another man for raising them. That's not what it is. So the creative force have just always wanted if he created you, if he created the earth, if he created this balance, why do we give credit to all these other deities, these gods, these angels, in which they didn't create us? They don't pave a way for us. So that's pretty much, I'm not sure if that kind of helped narrow it down, but you could ask any more questions to help narrow it down if
Here,
needed.
just because it's really more of a debate, just to challenge some things. Okay, so we got the story of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Old Testament, correct? Or in the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think God, for example, hasn't made it rain fire on, say, the Castro in San Francisco or Capitol Hill in Seattle?
Because that's not what's intended as of right now. There's been, and before you even bring up Capitol Hill, bro, why didn't he rain fire down on the Ku Klux Klan? Why didn't he rain fire down on the Spaniards doing their Inquisition? There was way more atrocities prior to Capitol Hill. The reason why he didn't do that is because he creates good, he creates evil. When it's time for judgment to come, everybody has free will, and that's something nobody can complain about. We were born with free will and with understanding to do right and to do wrong. So that's why Capitol Hill is still standing, because I don't believe that it's time for this place to be burnt with fire as of yet. However, we're in those waning moments.
Hold on just a second. I don't think you understood my reference to Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill is a very gay neighborhood in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, I understand.
It's like Castro in San Francisco. So
But back in those days, whenever Sodom and Gomorrah burnt, there was pretty much more, I don't know how to really word it, but there wasn't as much of a veil between us and what was constructed to happen as it was back then. Things were more cut and dry, like laws were more in your face and done by a lot more people than it was today. So, but I do believe that a lot of those instances and those inferences that we read about, those are stark warnings to people, man. Like, not even just those that descend from these patriarchs. These are stark warnings for everybody. If these things have happened, why do you think some miraculous God figure can come and save you from these things? Like, there's nobody that can save from this judgment that's going to come. Not Trump, not Jesus, not a religious group. Strictly following and observing these laws to the best of your abilities. And it seems like as I got off track whenever I was talking about the laws meant for Jerusalem. There were laws meant for those days, but the laws now, since we're in a tailspin, since certain people were exiled out of their original lands and have no way to go back, there are chapters that dedicate what to do in these lands. And one of the biggest things, like Leviticus 26 thoroughly speaks about this. And Leviticus 26, man, that might be something that might draw your interest, because that chapter alone, first off, you'll never hear anybody talk about. If you are in a church, or if you're in a Black Hebrew Israelite cult, if you're in anything of these natures, you've never had your teacher read through Leviticus 26. That's it. That breaks it for everybody. If you need instructions, read Leviticus 26, especially if you're a Black person or called Black in these day and times and in these lands that you're at. It's just how you break it. And here's the number one component, Zach, is humility. Humility and acceptance of your surroundings, where Creator has put you, where you're not, where you want to be, where you think you are, because we live in a day and an age of arrogance. And it's playing out just like the New Testament says. It was either Matthew 24 or Luke 21. It says in the end times, folks going to be lovers of themselves. So folks love hearing themselves talk, and we refuse to just humble down to Creator's laws. And that's the simplicity of salvation in these times.
Oh, Aaron, just so you know, I got to wrap this up in 20 minutes.
Okay.
What would you like to do for the last 20 minutes here? Do you want questions from the chat? Do you want to, is there certain points you wanted to make today that haven't been made?
That's fine. If we could, man, I'm always down for interactions. I'm not someone that wants, like, I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't do any teachings. I don't do anything of that nature. So I do like
I
to
had that
interact
question on
with
the
people.
channel. Somebody want to know if they can go anywhere to where you're putting out work so
No,
that you don't.
no,
Okay.
I have plenty formal debates out here on a lot of different platforms, and that's my preference. I prefer to go and formally debate with time, with moderators, with Q&A at the end of it. And that's my only request. If anybody, specifically people that teach messianic influence, that teach Jesus as a savior from any construct, I will leave my email address. I am always open to formally debate on the contradictions of the new God and the creator force, because this is where we're in this large conundrum. And it goes back to what you teach, Zach. The Jesuits and the Roman Catholic Church, they have created and invented the most evil constructs to pull you away from creator force, and they throw it in your face through sports, through entertainment, and through movies. So yes, these things all do merge.
Okay. All right, here, you know what? I'm going to challenge you on something because we're supposed to be having a debate. So I've always thought that religion is not going to be the thing that solves the problems in the world because it's so divisive. And you even see people in the chat getting mad right now. Christians are getting mad at you in the chat, for example, because they disagree. They didn't like how you said that Christianity is only about believing and confessing, which I would say is pretty much true. I mean, that is the one thing that you're commanded to do. There are some other things you're supposed to do as a Christian, but a lot of Christians, it does just boil down to that. If I believe in Jesus and I confess my sins to him, I can go on living as this sinful being that Christianity says I was born as. So again, I've never thought, I personally don't, I'm not, listen, I've always said people should read the Bible and understand what's in it, but I don't think taking a religious stance is going to be the thing that solves the world, because it is so divisive and people's egos are so caught up in their religion. And for most of us, the religion we're born with is either the one we stick it out with or the only one that we ever give any thought to. And it does, especially within Christianity, they kind of have like an enemy mindset for anyone that's not down with their cause. These are the Crusaders. I mean, you can see it from some of the comments in the chat here today. Do you really think taking a religious stance can solve the problems of the world? Or maybe you're not arguing that. Maybe you're just saying it's the thing that can save you and keep you on the right path.
Yeah, well, this isn't a religious stance. A religion is, there's a lot of ways to define religion. This is a constitution. This is a covenant. There's no way to get out of this covenant. Like, it was proclaimed, it was said to happen. The 400-year prophecies was said to happen. Zach, it happened. You've talked about it. A lot of people talked about it. Even if you don't want to, you have to acknowledge that in 2020, everything is changing. It's going to lead to a calamity of events. This is very prophetic. This doesn't really fit the definition of a religious group. This was a nation. This was people that were observing a law construct in which there was no gray area. There was no, I might want to not murder this person, or there was no gray area. There was blessings for not murdering. There was punishments like death for murdering. And for the Christians that are upset, and for anybody that's upset, get your leader and please, let's just get some debates going, bro, because that's the best way to reconcile things. Jesus claims to atone for the sins of the world. So if you were to molest a child, you're trying to tell me praying to this God will atone. No, atonement is not just good. Like, we live in a day and age where the fall of humanity concept and doctrine leads us to believe atonement can only be good. No, brother, atonement can be good or bad in the eyes of the beholder. If you molest a child, your atonement should be death. And that's how you atone for your sins. Like how we come from a people that we broke a covenant. We atone for our sins from being cast out of our lands and put in places where people can do what they want for a set amount of period. So there's ways to atone for everyone's sin. Jesus does not encompass atonement. He cannot possibly, it's not even plausible in accordance to the Mosaic law, because Jesus claims to fulfill the Mosaic law. So we know exactly what law construct he talks about. There's no atonement for there's no living atonement for doing certain sins. So But I'm not trying to get off track. I know you don't have that much time. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
I have two questions, honestly. The first question is what can Gematria do to prepare us for this impending judgment that's coming?
Well, I mean, I'd say, for example, in 2020, we were way ahead of the curve. We were calling out 5 years in advance that a major event was coming because these people work in 19-year cycles, just like it looks like they're bringing back the bird flu 19 years after the last epidemic from bird flu. So again, from understanding either the way the world unfolds, if it is God, or the way the cabal unfolds, which is more along the lines of what I think is going on, you can get ahead of the curve and prepare for what they have planned for humanity. Again, being aware of signs and the symbols very much tells you what's to come. The way they took down the Georgia Guidestones in the time of the last pandemic, these monuments to depopulation. For those of us who are aware of these things, for some of it might make them live in fear and paranoia, but for others, it might make them think about the things they need to start doing in their life if they're not to become a statistic in that plan that is likely set to be executed at some point. I think for anyone awake to the ideas of the cabal and what they want for us, again, I'll remind you guys, the Georgia Guidestones came down on George W. Bush's 76th birthday on 7/6, when Skull and Bones equals 76, and so does R.C. Christian, which was the false name etched on the stones. Again, it should have you thinking about, where can I live in the world that would be safe, would make sense, where I could produce my own? Because what we need as humans to live is air, water, and food. And if you can produce those things for yourselves, you can sustain, assuming a bomb's not being dropped on your head. Again, from having knowledge about the world, it can allow you to prepare and react and make the right decisions that give you a better chance at survival. I'd say from understanding what's been written down in the Bible can very much help you too, whether you think it's prophecy playing out or if you think it's man using the Bible as a playbook, which is more along the lines of what I think is going on. I don't want to eat up the time, so we don't have too much time. So what would be your rebuttal or what you would say in response?
So I do agree with man using the Bible as a playbook, but that's the portion that they added. The whole Torah portion, it thoroughly dictates past, present, future. It shows you how to withstand and to survive in this judgment that's going to come. So to just segue off of what I asked you, let's say worst case scenario, there is impending judgment. There's some form of a nuke attack. There's some like UN troops, or there's fire like in LA, but it's around everywhere. You're in a place where you can't escape it. In that moment, if there is impending judgment, if there is impending a reset, what would Gematria help me with in that time?
Okay, well, I think if you're, living and thinking along the lines I am, and there's a reason I moved out of a major city. I think cities are a dangerous place to be in the future. They do have plans to depopulate. You want to knock out a lot of people at one time? Big cities, it could be done. I mean, you've seen the movies where they've done it. Look at what happened to this city: 15 million dead instantly. Let's hope these things don't happen. But there were plans in stone etched in 19-foot stone monuments that stood for 42 years, saying that this is the plan. So again, like I say, knowledge has you preparing for things you can do to avoid problems. Getting out of big cities is one. What could I do from my position? Move closer to the equator. Probably a lot better place to be in fallout time, since it's generally warm year round and you can grow food year round and live with moderate shelter and possessions. So again, just understanding what time it is should help you make the right moves that could very well be life-saving and keep you from ending up under a bomb or a direct energy weapon or whatever they got next. I'll pass it back to you.
I got one quick question because I know you have to go. This is my last one. So since understanding the origins of Gematria, the Kabbalah, Isosophies, since understanding the origins of how it's used and what its use was, since you are involved in the numerology in Gematria, since you study and teaches that, my question to you and you can be genuine and transparent, or you don't have to be seeing how it's being aired live. Do you see a sequence of numbers, or do you see a certain number or anything of that nature that follows you, that speaks to you, that you're drawn to? Like, from dealing with this practice, is it dealing with you? Do you see a sequence of numbers or even names that follow you?
No, I don't. But what I will say about that question is that there's days where I'm hyper focused on a number because it's what's going on in the media. For people who don't know what I'm doing, if you're watching my channel for the first time, like I'll be saying, look, today's got 54 date numerology. Look at the way they keep calling 54 in the headlines all day. And then Sweetly will be like, hey, Zach, I'm hungry today. We don't eat out that often, but I'll go order food for us. And then they'll give me number 54. And I'll be like, how weird is that? But that's happened to me at least 50 times in the decade that I've been doing this research. So it does show me that there is some kind of like sorcery with it. I'm not trying to do sorcery, but I'm talking about that number all that day, and now I've manifested that number in my life just by going to get the takeout food, et cetera, et cetera.
Understood. And I think that's why you're seeing numbers like 201 and like how it's associated with these people, because they highly like, I don't know, they like revere these numbers.
To answer that question, where I live now was not expected. I didn't expect to move when we moved. I was on my road trip across the nation from Seattle to New York for the anniversary of 9/11. I went all across the nation teaching about 201. While I was on my trip, Sweet Lady found out that her job got moved, so we needed to move to a town 50 miles away. Well, the town we moved to is very small. There were only 3 homes for sale on the market, and 2 of them were dumps, and the one that she liked was house 201, and that's where we now live. So I ended up moving to house 201 after going on a road trip teaching about 201. A lot of people are like, oh, see, Zach's part of it too. No, that's the manifesting thing.
Yeah, no, I don't think that shows that you're part of anything. I believe that by dealing with this esoteric teaching that you can kind of open up a can of worms, man. And I don't denounce this at all. It's clearly a lot of power in this. So I respect it. I do tune in. I do love hearing a lot of these contrasts and these comparisons, but I will end this by saying that in hindsight of this conversation, where we're at and being able to apply reality with the Torah scriptures and prophecies, because they mirror to a T, it helps us understand what's coming and how to evade it, and not just evade it, but find safety, shelter, and a safe haven in what the Christians have portrayed as a heaven, an everlasting heaven. That should be the end goal. So, but I do appreciate your time. I appreciate everything that you've been throwing out here for everybody to understand and comprehend. So, if you have anything else, man,
conversation. It wasn't much of a debate, I don't think. I think it was
not really
sharing ideas, and I really do think our ideas align. Before you go, does anybody have any questions for Aaron, since he's obviously new to the channel, first time he came on here and discussed? Does anyone have put an A in front of your sentence and then write a legible sentence or question? I got to wrap this up in about 7 minutes, but if you got 7 more minutes, if you want to answer some questions from the chat, do you want to do that?
Yeah, man, I'm straight down for that. I also, at some point, man, like in the future, if you have time, I would like to speak a little bit on the influence of numbers and how it affected me, because I was seeing the sequence of numbers for a while. I would always screenshot it. I would take pictures of this number sequence, and it was not an orthodox number. It was 3 numbers that were set together. And long story short, man, I was doing this, like, I'm not sure how to say it, but like I used to like do beats back in the day. So I had a beat and a chorus in my mind, and I was doing it on the phone just in case I wanted to actually create that beat in the future. I do that from time to time. After I played back the beat, I played it back because I saw the sequence of numbers shown at the time that I recorded it, and I thought it was interesting. I played it back, and you can hear like straight demons screaming in the background, bro. It's so like it's so loud that it takes over my own voice in the phone. And that's what really made me snap out of, like, I don't know, like being so Jim Carrey-ish about these numbers that I was seeing, I guess. So It helped me to evade falling into things. And then reading Deuteronomy 32:9, man, it shows that the Creator did place angels or gods over every nation, and he numbered them. So I feel like a lot of nations and people, they have tapped into what their angel numbers are, and they worship them in the place of creator force. And that does bring a lot of things.
Questions in the chat. I appreciate that. Jared said, Aaron, where to study this life force he talks about? Is he just saying Torah?
No, it's not studying life force. It's living it. It's a practicality. It's a science. It's what science is pretty much based off. You apply this, you live it, it affects your life, and you know it. It's not faith. So a good place for people to comprehend it would be like Deuteronomy chapter 4, Deuteronomy 6, Deuteronomy 29, Deuteronomy 30 is probably the best one to comprehend this creator force I've been talking about and what he intends for his creation to be doing.
Okay, next question. Aaron, is Aaron an Israelite or just Christian who keeps Torah?
Neither. I am neither one. I do not believe in any of the core tenets of Black Hebrew Israelite teachings. The only one that I can agree with is that we do descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that our lives in our past 400 years show it to a scientific point. I don't believe in their messianic figure. I don't believe that Israel is our homeland. I don't believe that white people are Esau, who we should hate. I don't believe in most of their core tenets. And Christianity is a hell no. I was a Christian for like 18 years of my life. I played drums for my church. I was at my church more than anybody. I was raised by Christian family. No, I'm not a Christian. I'm not an Israelite. I am neither of.
Okay. What is your view on the sacred feminine and great mother?
I believe that is breaking the first commandment, that places another God in creative force's place. I believe that any construct that brings you another ideology of deity worship or deity studying is forbidden and was always meant to be forbidden for us. We have basic laws and instructions to follow, and we all know the basic 10. And instead of us following that, we would rather go into esoteric teachings about anything else.
Okay. Right now, we don't have any more questions. You guys, we got 3 more minutes. If you got a question for Aaron, now's the time to ask.
I would also like to plug my email, man. I would avidly love to get into another form of debate. I've been formally debating like Christian apologists, rabbis, and Black Hebrew Israelites for 5 years, and it was going good the first 3 years, but ever since debates and scriptures and contradictions have been forming, it's like I can't even get
Do you
one to
just want me
save
to
my
just
life.
post your email on the screen? I have it.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Have you ever seen my interaction with the Hebrew Israelites in Buffalo?
Yeah, man, them folks, bro. Hey, look, so you used to live in Seattle, right?
Uh-huh.
I live close to Seattle, so I went out there to go to debate a big camp. They're called Sakari. So I was supposed to have a formal debate with their leader. He denied it at the last second, and so I told him I'm gonna come pull up on you, man. And I pulled up on him. It was a cool 2-3 hour debate. I mean, it almost turned into a fight a few times, but it is what it is. So, but I did see. Interesting enough, I saw your stream, bro, and those Black Hebrew Israelites, they came over to come talk to you. I know that they were harassing you at first or something like that, and then y'all ended up actually talking.
I was able to get them to come around, and then we hung out for days and had a lot of nice conversations. And I was just saying, see, that's the power of knowledge. They went from calling me
Yeah,
white devil to we were friends.
but let's keep it a buck, bro. See, that's what I'm saying. You got to stand in your square and stand in it. If the white man is the adversary, then in no shape and in no environment should you be chilling with your adversary. So it's not even something that even clicks. Like, we're sent here, we work around y'all, we live around y'all. I coach plenty of white kids and I love them, bro. Like we can't. That's not the construct that we were sent here to have, you know. And if they genuinely seen you as the devil, that means you and your ancestors, out of your own thought and merit, said, let's go kidnap these people from Africa, bring them here, enslave them and all this shit. Why the hell would anybody that has that mindset be like, oh, well, you're a cool one, bro, I could talk to you? No, that's not how that should work. But that's because that's not plausible. That's not. Esau is not a white man. Like, their biblical teachings are just, they're meant to cause more division. It's straight division, division, division. Even in Christianity, why are Unitarians beefing with Trinitarians? Don't y'all serve the same God? Why in Christianity do you have people go screaming at each other because they believe that Joseph was the actual baby daddy, but no, actually the Holy Spirit was? Like, there's so much internal beefing in Christianity that I can't even take it seriously. Even me growing up in it, I saw all the internal beef. And if this is our God and Savior that died for our sins, we all agree on this one nigga. Why are we fighting about him all the time? I never got that.
Sure. Here, a few more questions, and then I got to end this. Sinister says, on the power scale, Aaron, how powerful is Gematria to you?
It's so powerful that when I was seeing my sequence of events, man, I did my voice recording and I heard a bunch of spirits probably singing with me in the background. So I know how strong it is. I definitely understand how strong and powerful it is. And it gets scary whenever it's used by the Kabbalah. It's scary. The words that your children are chanting, these choruses, these famous TikTok little segments of choruses, these have geometric value, which brings curses into your children's life. They bring curses upon you. I believe in the power of it. I respect it. I respect the fact that there is power in words and in numbers, but I also don't really deal with it like I once was when I was intrigued, kind of because I was because of the situation that I had hit the spirits. So
Sure. Understood. Endgame Exotic says thoughts on the name Yahweh and Yahshua.
That's kind of to the root of Kabbalah. That comes from the Holy Tetragrammaton, the YHWH, and that is all rooted in Kabbalah. Creator Force said whenever people are in exile and when there's calamity and pretty much like colonization going on in the world. So prior to the colonization, you have like all these kingdoms from Sumer to all these kingdoms. Yes, they did war, but they never created global calamity like certain people did. So we know what time period we're in. So long story short, that name is used to kill, steal, destroy. These names they're powerful ass names. These are powerful names. However, they're not the names of the creator. He said that when these calamities take place on earth, I will turn my face from you. You won't hear from me. We are not in connection with creator force right now. And people need to thoroughly understand that we've been taught names, practices by the Roman Catholic Church. If you want to go all the way back to the root, they're the ones that have produced all these names that y'all call on, all these different things, all these enchantments, all these songs. So I don't believe that that's the sacred name of creator at all.
Okay, two more questions, and I got to wrap it up because I went over time. How do we tell the difference from organic and manipulated gematria?
I think that's a good question. So organic gematria, I don't think it's really in our realm to understand organic gematria, and you can't really quantify it. You can't put it in a structure. Now, the other form that is predetermined, you can read through that script. The organic gematria is not intended for us. You can't tell creator force or any of these spirits which have a lot to do with blessings and curses with people. You can't tell them what to do and what not to do. So the organic side of gematria goes back down to the esoteric mysticism aspect, which I don't think anybody can really define.
Fair enough. Okay, do you think heaven and hell are a physical place or a concept of the mind?
Heaven and hell were created by the Roman Catholic Church as a construct to rule over us every day. Blessings and curses, what you do, your actions. Are you helping that child that you know needs some shoes, or are you being like, forget him? Are you helping someone out of their situation, or are you turning an eye from them? Are you neglecting certain things? Like that's what truly defines heaven and hell, safety or death, blessings and curses. That's truly what we got to fixate our mind on. It's more scientifical, it's more practical, and it's more everything. This is what we need to place our mind on. The Roman Catholic Church, the Jesuits, and the New Testament have taken laws, actions, and practicality and turned it into faith and belief. And that's not going to work.
All right. For people who still have questions for Aaron, his email is on the screen, Torah A run89@gmail.com. And I'm guessing you're born in 89?
Yes, sir.
If there is a number that follows me, it is 89. So
look at that. Got you to crack. But nah, man, good talk, bro. I'm not saying that gematria is bullshit. I actually respect it so much that it's almost scary. Feel me? Like it's like I'm cool on that, man. I'm trying to really apply basic 10 laws and then go from there, in which I believe will bring not just safety, but will help break these generational curses of my children. I don't want them to see another black man and think that's my op. I want them to see him and ask him if he needs help. Like, is there anything you're going through? If your kids need anything, can I help them? I want them to be able to bring back certain curses that we weren't keeping in our land. Like that's our cultural identity. We must do for ourselves and have awareness and understanding of where we're at before we can even begin to do those things. So, but you do a lot of decodes on these sacrifices, man. So you know that there's no coincidence that that the percentage of African Americans, I believe, is like what 13 or 14% in this nation, which means our celebrities are a minuscule percentage of that, but we're constantly getting martyred, sacrificed, and mocked. There's a greater reason for why that this all happens. So
Indeed, indeed. Well, I do appreciate this conversation. We can definitely continue it on. Dominator X in the chat is saying I'm skipped one of his questions. Hey, Dominator X, if you got a question for him, I'm guessing if you send him an email, he'd be happy to talk to you about it. He did say he wanted his email out there. He likes to debate. He likes to have conversations. So,
but make no mistake, the reason why I am putting out my emails because it's a fervent challenge on the Messianic sun God, and that's what I thoroughly like to formally debate on, seeing how everybody agrees to this biblical square. We analyze and we go through certain forms of hermeneutics to really prove what's what according to the lens of it.
Okay, so Dominator X wants to debate you on something else. So rather than talk about it now, hey, he's open to the next conversation. Hit him up. I put his email up there, and you're welcome back. And maybe next time you come back, since it's kind of hard for us to debate because I think we're actually more in a similar mindset. But we could have like a panel discussion where people come on like Dominator X, and then that might get more debate oriented. So.
Yeah, man. And some of the numeric values that you threw out there, man, I think that we can definitely see each other halfway because with the gematria, it does bring layers onto the scriptures and the scriptures. And like we said, these books were not canonized until the Hellenistic period. There were not numbers associated with these scriptures. If you like, those scrolls were just like a run-on sentence damn near. Like they were not numerically valued. It's not until the Hellenistic period, which led into the Roman Empire, did they start numerically valuing everything as they did with our dates and everything based off the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. If anything, I want people to really plant that seed in their head off this conversation. If you are atheist or if you reject the God of the New Testament, then you got to get some bearings to you because your whole surrounding is based off the resurrection and the death of this mythical figure.
Hey, one more thing. I do need to get off, but I think the most criticism I get criticism for a lot of reasons, but I think the most common criticism is that people do not like that I participate in the sports gambling aspect. How do you feel about that in light of Torah code?
I say, fuck the system, bro. If you can get one up on them, get one up on them. So if I do see anything that I do love about your work is that y'all capitalize on these rig sports, bro. Like, why not? Why the hell not? I don't see, so yes, I do agree that casting lots is not really what you're supposed to do. But don't forget, most of these laws are constitutional. They were meant for certain lands, bro. We're in a day and age and we're in different lands. Like I do believe in keeping the set code of law, but after it gets too definitive, folks really can't define what is actually a sin today. I would say forget the system, bro. If you can do anything to capitalize and to help feed your family off of their rig sports, I'm all for it.
That's how I feel too. And anyhow,
like
I
taxes.
got to hop off, but let me get your email up there one more time, you guys. Torah Run89 at gmail.com. That's Aaron, our guest today. He likes to debate. Some of you guys have been debating him more in the comment section than I have, but here's my closing message. I wouldn't even ask anybody who won. It would be unfair on my channel, but I really don't think it's about. I really think the more knowledge you have is the better. Knowledge is power. Torah's knowledge, Gematria's knowledge. How you use that knowledge depends. How well you can use that knowledge depends on the other knowledge you have. You should just try to accumulate as much knowledge as you possibly can, and you also have to discernment to understand what is real knowledge and what is not knowledge. Because there's a lot of you guys hanging on to things that I'm pretty sure is just nothing but deception. And again, you'll figure those things out, I think, if you have enough knowledge. I think having the right amount of knowledge helps you see what's true knowledge and what isn't. And understanding the Bible, you don't have to be religious. Understanding the Bible has all kinds of importance and significance. For everyone who understands what's in the Bible, they saw the way they were being mocked in that scandemic, and they did not participate in those things that might have had them out of here by now, or a heart problem, or God knows what, a turbo cancer. Again, knowledge is power is what I'm closing out with. Aaron, if you can just give us like 20, 30 seconds, I do have to hop off, but I want you to get the last word in here.
Leviticus 26, Deuteronomy 32, very important chapters, which the context of it speaks to our times. A lot of people are lost in the context on these crazy prophecies and scriptures, especially all the man-made doctrines. And then I'm going to end with, I agree with your hat, man. Truth does matter. I appreciate your time, Zach.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for the conversation. You have a good day.
All right, man. Peace.
All right. Take care. All right. Later all. That is the end of the stream. I got to go. I went overtime. Till next time.